Just 8 minutes ago, a decision was made behind palace walls that stunned even seasoned royal insiders. Prince William has personally blocked Prince Harry's security team from attending Princess Charlotte's birthday. What seemed like a joyful day for the young princess has now exploded into a full-blown royal security scandal. But why now? And what triggered this dramatic act of exclusion? Before we go deeper into what this really means for the royal family, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single update. It was meant to be a day of celebration, a rare, fleeting moment where the fractured House of Windsor could unite under the innocence of a child's birthday. Princess Charlotte, turning another year older, had unknowingly become the center of a secret storm that had been quietly escalating for months. Behind the carefully curated smiles and manicured lawns, whispers of distrust had already poisoned the atmosphere long before the first candle was lit. And as the guest list finalized, one name remained a question mark: not Charlotte's beloved uncle, but the men sworn to protect him. Royal protocol is rigid, but not unbreakable. Hours before the event, internal staff noticed an unusual pattern: encrypted calls, unscheduled meetings, and a sudden restriction on security access logs. Eyewitnesses from within Kensington Palace described a strange tension pulsing through the halls, the kind that usually precedes a royal rupture. Then came the unthinkable. William, in a decision reportedly made without full consultation, exercised his override authority, stripping Harry's personal team of access to the private royal grounds where Charlotte's gathering was taking place. The order was executed swiftly. The team, already en route, was rerouted with minimal explanation. What made this more than just a denied entry was the symbolism it carried. William's move wasn't merely tactical, it was strategic, deliberate, and possibly the most personal strike yet in the silent war between brothers. Inside sources say Catherine was notified shortly after, and while no public reaction was recorded, her inner circle described her demeanor as calm fury. She didn't protest the decision, but she didn't soften it either. That silence spoke volumes. This wasn't just about security, it was a warning. A line had been drawn, and not just in protocol, but in blood. For years, the public believed the worst was behind the royal brothers, that the deep wounds left by past betrayals and public interviews were slowly healing. But this was different. This was a calculated erasure of Harry's protective presence, not just from royal duty, but from family milestones. Charlotte, blissfully unaware, celebrated amid fairy cakes and laughter. But beyond the gates, her father had rewritten the rules of engagement. He hadn't just protected her, he'd made her the epicenter of a message meant to echo through palace corridors and media outlets alike. The unspoken meaning was clear: not everyone claiming family has earned the right to stand watch. But to understand the true weight of William's decision, we must first step into the shadows where this battle over security, loyalty, and bloodlines has been brewing for years. Royal protection isn't just about safety, it's about hierarchy, legacy, and unspoken trust. When Harry lost his official security privileges, it was devastating. But insiders reveal a shocking twist, a silent clause allowing partial reinstatement, one William has now ripped apart. For generations, royal security has served not only to shield bloodlines, but to reinforce the invisible ladder of power inside the palace walls. The system is tiered, structured, and ruthlessly enforced. At the top, those in the direct line of succession. Below them, the working royals, and at the bottom, those who stepped away. When Harry made his infamous exit with Meghan, it came at a cost far deeper than most realized. His security, his right to be guarded under the crown's protection, was revoked. The move had been portrayed as protocol. But behind the scenes, Harry never stopped fighting to claw back what he believed was his birthright. To be protected not just as a son, but as a royal. That fight nearly broke him. His legal challenges against the Home Office were public. But what wasn't public until now was the existence of a hidden compromise quietly slipped into palace policy following Prince Philip's funeral. This clause, whispered about among inner security circles, allowed limited temporary reinstatement of security for key royal events. Not just funerals or coronations, but private family gatherings, birthdays, holidays. moments that still tethered Harry to the House of Windsor. It was an olive branch disguised as protocol, one that offered peace until William shattered it. Sources confirmed that Harry's team had been cleared. The background checks had passed, the formal steps were completed, and yet William overrode it. This wasn't bureaucracy. This was a personal strike hidden beneath the veil of process. And in doing so, William didn't just block access, he destroyed precedent. By ripping apart the clause, he sent a signal that no event, not even his daughter's birthday, would serve as an excuse for Harry's return. It was a severance, cloaked in silence. The backlash within palace walls was immediate but muted. Leaked memos now suggest that Princess Anne and Prince Edward had expressed concern months prior about the clause's implications, that it created a loophole too fragile for a family already walking on glass. Their warnings, it seems, were ignored until William took matters into his own hands, and the effect has been seismic. Some claim William feared something deeper than logistics, that Harry's security team, despite clearance, posed a symbolic threat, a return to relevance, a foot in the door he was determined to keep shut. Others say this was a calculated test to see how far Harry would push back and what alliances he might ignite in the process. Either way, the damage is done. The clause that once represented hope has now become the spark of a new war. But what or who truly convinced William to wield his authority in such a brutal, irreversible way? Behind every royal decision, there's a silent architect. And on this occasion, palace insiders whisper that it was Catherine, not William, who lit the match. Her reasoning? Protection, legacy, and a deepening fear that Harry poses more risk than the world knows. As the media focused on William's firm hand in blocking Harry's security access, few dared to look beyond the throne-in-waiting to the woman whose influence has grown quieter, but sharper with every passing month. Since her elevation to Princess of Wales, Catherine has stepped deeper into matters once reserved for the highest security advisors and private intelligence officials. Her involvement, once ceremonial, is now strategic. Sources inside the palace confirm that Catherine has received private briefings detailing the vulnerabilities exposed by international attention threats, not just to the monarchy's image, but to its very bloodline. And when it comes to her children, Catherine's instincts are neither passive nor political, they are ferocious. Those who know her say she's changed, not colder but more resolved. The mother who once held out hope for reconciliation has now become the guardian of a legacy she refuses to gamble. And it all circles back to Charlotte, a daughter born into quiet strength, into the unique position of being both symbol and heir in the modern monarchy's evolution. Catherine's fears aren't abstract. In recent months, reports of intercepted communications targeting royal minors sent chills through security briefings. Though unconfirmed publicly, these whispers have already altered the way palace protection is structured. And Catherine, insiders claim, was the loudest voice in the room when discussions turned to shielding her daughter. But her motivations weren't solely operational. There's history here. A wound between Catherine and Harry that never healed. It dates back to a promise made in private, broken in public. Long before titles were reshuffled and alliances fractured, Harry had assured Catherine that her family would always remain untouched by media warfare, that her children would be spared. And yet, it was during the height of the Sussex saga that Charlotte's name was first dragged into speculative coverage, a betrayal Catherine never forgot. Her silence since then hasn't been forgiveness. It's been strategy. Today, her influence over William is undeniable. He is the face. She is the force. In high-stakes discussions, her voice now carries weight once reserved for monarchs. Staffers describe her presence in recent briefings as steel in silk, soft in delivery, but immovable in stance. She doesn't raise her voice, but when she speaks, entire plans shift course. It was Catherine who questioned the reinstatement clause for Harry. It was Catherine who insisted that access, even temporary, could no longer be viewed as harmless. And when the moment came to decide whether Harry's security team would be granted proximity to Charlotte, she didn't hesitate, not out of spite, but out of conviction. This isn't just a mother protecting her child, It's a future queen safeguarding the bloodline she believes the crown will one day rest upon. And if that means turning her back on a brother-in-law who once called her the sister he never had, then so be it. The crown comes first, the legacy comes first, Charlotte comes first. But as Catherine steps forward, someone else is being systematically pushed back, and Harry is beginning to realize it may be personal, not political. When Harry received the call that his security was blocked, his reaction was immediate and volcanic. According to palace sources, he fired off a direct message to William with one damning line, "You've crossed the line." What followed was a series of transatlantic calls, royal silences, and threats of legal action. The moment Harry was informed that his security detail had been turned away, he didn't pause for protocol. He erupted. The team he had personally approved, vetted, and flown in had already been en route to Princess Charlotte's birthday. Their arrival was expected, their clearance supposedly secured. And yet, mid-journey, they were halted, silently rerouted with no explanation, no apology, and no recourse. It was a message sent in silence, but Harry heard it loud and clear. What stung wasn't just the reversal, it was the cold finality of it. There was no conversation, no warning, just a decision. Handed down from a brother who had once promised to protect him for life. Meghan, upon learning the news, was reportedly inconsolable. Palace aides, familiar with the couple's immediate response, described the atmosphere in Montecito as emotionally catastrophic. She had already feared this day would come, that their children would one day be excluded, their safety deemed conditional, their presence unwelcome. But this wasn't theoretical anymore. It was now undeniable. Their family wasn't simply on the outside looking in, they had been locked out, and the keys had been destroyed. She wept not just for Charlotte's birthday, but for the confirmation that her daughter Lilibet would never know the family she came from. Harry, still raw with betrayal, attempted to call William directly. The phone rang and rang and rang, but William never picked up. The silence was deafening. Leaked texts revealed that Harry later sent a blistering message that included the phrase irrevocable damage. His words carried fury, grief, and an undertone of finality that chilled even those close to him. It wasn't just a fight, it felt like a fracture beyond repair. And once that message was sent, the machinery of retaliation began to churn. Within the hour, Harry's legal advisors were contacted. Not palace solicitors, his own team in the US, prepared for moments exactly like this. Confidential communications were exchanged with former royal protection officers and media strategists. Lines were drawn, not just in emotion, but in law. Those inside the Sussex camp claim this moment was the final straw. The proof that reconciliation was a fantasy, that the institution no longer operated on shared blood but hardened power. Quietly, they began crafting what insiders now call the counterstrike, a carefully timed public-facing revelation designed to upend the royal narrative. A move not rooted in revenge, but in reclaiming control of their own story. The irony? This all began with a child's birthday. A moment that should have mended cracks instead broke the foundation. Harry didn't just lose access that day, he lost the illusion that his family still viewed him as one of their own. And now, every move forward will be made with a different lens, one sharpened by pain, distrust, and a vow to never again be blindsided. But what if this wasn't just a birthday snub, but the culmination of a secret plan years in the making? Sources now confirm that William has been quietly orchestrating a sweeping restructuring of royal security, a campaign known internally as Operation Ring of Steel. And this birthday block, it was never spontaneous. It was the first visible move in a chess game that's been unfolding since 2022. The public may see William as the polished heir, measured, dutiful, unshakable. But beneath the surface, palace insiders paint a portrait of a man who has grown colder, sharper, and more strategic with every passing betrayal. While media narratives focused on reconciliation, William was meeting behind closed doors, forging a new doctrine of royal defense. Operation Ring of Steel wasn't born out of paranoia, it was born out of necessity. private conversations with MI5-linked liaisons revealed growing concerns about internal surveillance breaches and the alarming possibility that sensitive information was leaking through proximity, not press. The target wasn't just the outside world. It was anyone once considered family. The Wales children were quickly identified as high-risk assets, especially Charlotte. With her rising popularity and symbolic power as the monarchy's modern female icon in waiting, she became the linchpin around which new protective strategies were formed. Unlike her brothers, Charlotte represented both tradition and evolution, a figure quietly being shaped into something far greater than the public yet realizes. Her visibility made her a target, her potential made her invaluable, and for William that meant control over access, total uncompromising control. Internal reports confirm that security clearance systems were overhauled under William's direct oversight. Royal protection officers were reassigned. Private access protocols were rewritten. A new digital perimeter, one invisible to the public eye, was drawn around the next generation of Windsors. No one entered without his approval. No team operated without his sign-off. And the clause that once allowed Harry's security to attend family events, that was seen as a crack in the wall of vulnerability William had no intention of tolerating. Eliminating it wasn't just tactical, it was war strategy, but the restructuring went even deeper. It redrew the lines of trust within the monarchy itself. Figures once sidelined like Anne and Sophie were quietly brought into the fold, not for their titles but for their loyalty. William saw in them the kind of institutional integrity that no longer existed in others. Their inclusion in private briefings was deliberate, a way to build a firewall of blood and duty. And yet, not all senior royals were looped in. Camilla, Queen Consort by name, found D herself quietly excluded from key security sessions. Whether by design or by oversight, her absence did not go unnoticed. Rumors swirled that she confronted senior aides in a fit of panic after realizing she had been cut out of the loop. For William, it was calculated risk. For Camilla, it was a brutal signal: trust is earned, not inherited. Charlotte's birthday block wasn't an isolated strike, it was the first detonation in a much larger operation. And William, calm and methodical, made sure it appeared clinical rather than emotional. But even as he tightens his grip on the institution's future, new forces are rising behind the palace gates. Quiet forces, determined ones. But while William plays chess, another royal has been quietly building her own defensive wall, and it's not Meghan. In a palace increasingly divided between loyalty and lineage, it was Princess Anne who broke the silence. She approached William not as a subordinate but as a sister in duty. Her warning was chillingly simple: don't make Charlotte the battlefield. For decades, Princess Anne has remained the monarchy's quiet steel. Not one for dramatics or headlines, but the steady heartbeat of tradition, service, and sacrifice. She has watched the royal family fracture under the weight of ego, modernity, and betrayal. But this time, something had shifted. Anne, who had spent years diffusing internal wars with silent glances and behind-the-scenes diplomacy, chose to step into the storm. This time, silence wasn't enough. She had to speak. Because what was at stake now wasn't pride or politics, it was the future of a child who had no idea the crown was already using her as a shield. The confrontation took place far from cameras, behind closed doors, but a palace aide has since revealed the tension was palpable. Anne didn't come to argue, she came to deliver a warning. She looked William in the eye and said it plainly: "You're drawing Charlotte into something she may never escape." Her tone, reportedly low and deliberate, cut through the room like a blade. She wasn't just speaking as an aunt, she was speaking as someone who had lived through the long, slow unraveling of family into factions. She had watched Charles and Diana collapse. She had seen the toll public life had taken on her own children, and she now feared that William, blinded by control, was repeating the same sins, only this time under the guise of protection. Though she's kept her public stance neutral, those closest to Anne know she has harbored a quiet sympathy for Harry. She never approved of his choices, but she understood them. She had once been the outsider herself, the overlooked spare, the one expected to serve without question. And so, while others dismissed Harry's isolation, Anne recognized its weight. She believed the family had failed to protect him from the machine that consumed them all. But now, with Charlotte being placed at the center of a calculated security war, Anne saw the same pattern repeating, only this time, with even higher stakes. Anne's plea wasn't just emotional, it was strategic. She knew how far things could spiral when children became pawns in royal power plays. Her concern wasn't rooted in sentiment, but foresight. "Once you involve the next generation," she reportedly told William, "you create a war with no exit." But the tragedy? Her words, for all their wisdom, may have fallen on deaf ears, because as much as William respects his aunt, he no longer takes direction from anyone, not even the woman who kept the family afloat when others faltered. And now, as Anne's words echo in the background, the drama spills into the Queen's most sacred space, Windsor itself. In the quiet halls of Windsor, words travel fast and whispers even faster. According to longtime royal staff, an overheard conversation between William and an unnamed advisor may hold the key to the real reason behind the block. And what they heard sent chills down the corridors of power. Windsor Castle may stand as a symbol of permanence and legacy, but within its ancient walls, modern paranoia is flourishing. Royal aides, many of whom have served since the days of Queen Elizabeth, speak in hushed tones about a new kind of fear gripping the monarchy. It's no longer just the press or the public, it's the fear of betrayal from within. And now, according to two sources stationed near the Royal West Wing, a private discussion between William and a top-level advisor may have confirmed what few dared to admit aloud. The issue isn't simply Harry's presence, it's who he brings with him, and what they might already know. The conversation reportedly took place just 2 days before Charlotte's birthday, behind closed doors in Windsor's strategic planning suite. Staff in the vicinity described William's tone as controlled but urgent, his words sharp and deliberate. What they claimed to have overheard was more than just discontent, it was dread. William allegedly voiced concern that leaks from within the walls had begun to reappear, coinciding with recent Sussex-aligned media moves and timed narratives. Though he stopped short of naming names, the implication was unmistakable. The very fabric of royal secrecy was fraying, and Harry's inner circle was too close for comfort. One staffer described the phrase that stood out like thunder: "If he steps foot in that garden, we lose control." That garden, believed to reference the private grounds surrounding Windsor where the birthday was set to take place, represents more than just a location. It's sacred ground, the inner sanctum of the family's off-camera world. And for William, control over that space equates to control over the monarchy's most intimate moments. Letting Harry's team enter, even temporarily, would mean opening a gate that may never close again. The conversation also veered into past events, times when Sussex-connected guests allegedly brought in unauthorized recording devices or attempted to speak with palace employees under the guise of casual conversation. While no official complaints were filed, suspicions never faded. This time, advisors reportedly warned of something deeper: psychological manipulation tactics being used to extract details, build narratives, weaponize memories. It wasn't just about who was coming, but what they were there to collect. The most shocking detail: a mention of MI6, not in their traditional role of protecting British interests abroad, but as a counterintelligence measure. According to the same insider, William floated the idea that internal surveillance may need to be increased, not to shield the family from threats outside the castle, but from those once considered kin. It was a moment of cold clarity. This wasn't about family anymore. This was about control, preservation, and silencing vulnerabilities before they became headlines. But while the walls of Windsor echo with fear, outside the gates, someone else is making a move of their own. Meghan has stayed silent for now, but sources suggest that silence is temporary. With allies in Hollywood legal channels and international media, Meghan may be preparing either a bombshell interview or a legal strike that could unravel more than William's decision. In the quiet aftermath of Charlotte's birthday fallout, Meghan has been anything but idle. While Harry burns with fury, Meghan has moved with calculation. According to insiders close to her US legal team, Meghan immediately commissioned a review of the event clause, the very provision once meant to allow temporary reinstatement of royal security during family functions. Her argument: that its sudden revocation wasn't just exclusionary but legally questionable, especially given that Harry's team had already been cleared and approved. Behind the scenes, legal advisors are analysing whether this clause was altered in violation of any standing agreement, and if so, whether it opens the door for formal legal challenge not just in the UK, but in international courtrooms that recognise breach of protocol harm under high-profile security standards. But the legal angle is just one front in a broader campaign, quietly taking shape. Meghan's team has reached out to major US broadcast networks under the guise of contingency planning. The phrase being used is measured response, but within the walls of media empires, producers already know what that really means. A story is coming. A story T will position Meghan not as a victim, but as a mother, a woman who watched as her children were cut off, as her husband was humiliated, and as another child's birthday became ground zero for a war her family never asked to be part of. PR strategists working alongside the Sussexes have reportedly begun laying the groundwork for a controlled media storm. One option under discussion? A surprise podcast episode recorded weeks in advance, now being edited with precision. Its focus, sources say, is broader than the birthday block, but the timing of its release may directly coincide with the growing fallout. In that episode, Meghan may indirectly raise the question that has rattled her for weeks. What happens when your child's name becomes a weapon in someone else's narrative? That concern runs deeper than optics. Meghan reportedly fears that Charlotte, through no fault of her own, has become a symbol of everything the royal institution wants to preserve, even at the cost of erasing other royal children from the equation. It's not just about exclusion anymore. It's about survival, visibility, legacy. And in Meghan's eyes, the children are being pitted against each other in a subtle but undeniable battle for the future of the crown. But here's the conflict that's quietly tearing through their household. Harry wants to fight. Meghan wants to frame. While Harry reacts from pain, Meghan strategizes from distance. He wants confrontation, she wants control. This growing tension between emotional impulse and calculated precision could very well determine what happens next and whether the Sussexes go nuclear or measured in their response. And while the world waits for Meghan's next move, there's one final twist that may change everything. In the wake of this escalating feud, one sealed document said to be signed by Queen Elizabeth herself has re-emerged in royal archives. If true, it names Charlotte not just as a princess, but as a future sovereign figure in her own right. And this revelation may be the real reason behind William's drastic actions. The timing of its creation is crucial. Insiders claim the document was penned in the quiet aftermath of Prince Philip's passing in 2021, during a period when the Queen was reportedly reflecting on the longevity and continuity of the monarchy. At a time when the firm was under siege from scandals, public distrust, and the Sussex departure, Elizabeth was said to be focusing less on titles and more on symbols. The document, quietly stored among the Queen's personal correspondences, names Princess Charlotte not just as the daughter of a future king, but as the pillar upon which the House of Windsor must be preserved. In these words, many see a prophecy, perhaps even a contingency plan for a monarchy that had begun to feel fragile. According to staff who have viewed the document or been briefed on its contents, the tone was unlike any of the Queen's public speeches. It was assertive, unshakable. A monarch speaking not to the public, but to history. It emphasized Charlotte's presence as a stabilizing force and heir to the crown's emotional authority, not merely its bloodline. And most importantly, it identified her as a beacon of renewal for a royal house whose future had grown uncertain. Her calm demeanor, her quiet confidence, her direct lineage, all were listed as reasons for this extraordinary designation. It wasn't a legal change in succession, but something potentially more powerful, a written royal conviction. It now becomes impossible to ignore the weight of this revelation in the context of William's actions. If he has known of this document, and many believe he has, then every decision he's made to shield Charlotte takes on a new dimension. His aggressive protection of her privacy, his refusal to allow outside influence near her, and his sudden rejection of Harry's security team all appear not as paranoia, but as purpose. William isn't just guarding a daughter. He may be safeguarding the very person his mother, and now his grandmother believed could carry the monarchy into the next century. The exclusion of Harry and Meghan, then, may not be retaliation. It may be preservation. For years, their departure was painted as a fracture. But through the lens of this document, it might have been seen by the Queen as a necessary severing, removing instability from the centre so that a new core could take shape. Charlotte, in that vision, becomes more than a child. She becomes the crown's final hope. And as speculation continues to swirl, one palace source left us with a final haunting thought. It was never about pushing Harry out. It was about anchoring the line before the tides broke it apart. As this royal storm deepens, one question remains. Has the line between protection and punishment finally blurred beyond repair? Subscribe now, because what's coming next will redefine the monarchy forever. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in next one.